Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the ghost,
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors.
Mic check, mic check.
You sound good. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay. They're both turned on. You and Sean, can you grab one?
Can you sit on Ben's lap over here?
If you could, that'd be cute. Try not to make anybody uncomfortable, though.
That's okay.
It's a little wet.
You're not drinking Bud Light, so.
He's gonna go get his nice dry chair.
There you go. So I'll do a couple introductions here. So Chad Sylvester is joining us from Exodus. So Exodus Outdoor Gear, is that what it is?
That's it. Yep.
All right, cool. Yep. And this is Ben Williams. So Ben is Ben's one of my good buddies, and he's got a podcast of his own, which recently had to change the name of because he infringed on some rights. Yeah, he was sent a cease and desist letter.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I've had to deal with that a couple times.
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
Yeah, it's old hat for somebody who's been in business for a while, right?
Yes.
So what's the name of your pod? What is it now?
100 Proof Whitetails.
100 Proof Whitetails. It was Whitetails and Whiskey, and some guy from South Carolina or
North Carolinas.
yeah. He had like a real popular Facebook. His Instagram page has got like 12,000 followers, but it's just one of those. You can probably tell that they probably paid for.
Sure.
They get like 60 likes on a picture, but they got like 12,000 followers. You know. But and then this is Sean Livermore. Sean, this is Chad Sylvester. I don't know if you guys know each other.
Yeah, we met earlier.
You guys know? Okay, so I don't have to cover those grounds. So trying to kind of grab in a bunch of people and some of the vendors and have them over, just talk about what they got going on. So we were just having a nice conversation over there. But if you want to introduce yourself and anybody from our podcast that listens that doesn't know about your product and what you guys do.
Chad Sylvester, co-founder, co-owner of Exodus Outdoor Gear. It's a company that we launched back in 2015 with a primary focus in the trail camera vertical, and we launched as a D2C brand. At the time, as a consumer, I had been following the story of Jason Hairston, the Kuiu, Sitka, the whole disaster that happened with Sitka and the buyout and the drama that went in with that, and how Jason was, forward-thinking enough to see how powerful the internet was at the time, and relaunched essentially what Sitka was, where he lost control. And I really bought into that mission. And so we knew going into the trail camera space that we wanted to solve really just a couple problems. One was longevity. I mean, everything was built with an obsolescence mindset, and there was no reason for that. And then two, in that space, it was like we played Russian roulette for, 10, 12, 15 years of buying cameras. You'd buy X brand one year. Maybe you had a good experience, but you tried something else the next year. It was a terrible experience. But it really lacked, across the board, we felt like quality, not only customer service, but product support. So those were the two primary things when we launched we really wanted to focus on, was solving the longevity issue of trail cameras, making them last more than a year or two, and then backing them up with endless support is essentially how we got started. And the business has grown over the last 8 years. We're just celebrating our 8th anniversary, and everyone, when we launched, everyone was like, you guys are going to make it 2 years.
It's a long time, man, 8 years.
Flash in a pan. But it's been an incredible journey, and now we're kind of expanding into the arrow archery vertical with a couple different arrow offerings, and it's just been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, it's not easy, especially. Are you one of the only or the only direct to consumer camera company, or is there anybody else that's doing that?
I mean, there are some. I would consider them smaller brands, but I think I still don't think that we're a household name, but we're definitely gaining market share over the last handful of years. I would consider us the only major player as a D2C brand, not going to retail.
I feel like there was, and I don't know, it could just be me and how I've paid attention to things, but I feel like there was prior to COVID, I feel like there was so many in-person events and so many trade shows, and TAC was huge, and it was all this stuff. And like a lot of like the direct-to-consumer brands, we were talking about some arrows earlier, like you guys, like I feel like your names were exploding and people were like eager to work with somebody who they knew who the person was, and not just going to, Cabela's or Bass Pro or whatever and buying the brand that was on the shelf and having no connection to the company.
Sure.
And was there a challenge for you guys through that time during COVID when you really couldn't get out and be in front of people? Or
not necessarily for us, because one of the things, diving into the trail camera vertical that we wanted to market with was a sense of education, because there was, and we talked about this a little bit earlier off air.
Yeah.
The lack of education and
you just almost said education.
I almost did.
You did. Yeah, I gotta point that out.
I have a problem with like my mind going faster than what my mouth can handle.
Same here, man.
Unfortunately, my son got the same dyslexic ability from me, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, exactly. Calm down, take a breath.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about what you need to say.
Oh, thank you.
But through the COVID stuff, the lack of in-person events, we've always been forward enough thinking about utilizing the internet, and a lot of our marketing comes through education, because I believe education always wins, and with that comes branded content. Right, so we've worked really hard at growing a podcast. We have 3 podcasts now, and then focusing on educational content through YouTube and different forms of media, essentially. So I don't think we felt the lack of in-person events as harsh as maybe some other companies did, because we were, we had a foundation built on the business with branded content where we were still reaching people.
Yeah. I mean, your whitetail cribs content is just, it's outstanding. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, like I was saying, we had the guys from Hunters Creek. You guys came up and did one with them, but just to go around and see, and the vibe you had. I mean, it was a cribs edition.
Yeah.
But it was going through people's houses and learning about them and what they've done and what they've had success with. It's really cool, and I think that just brings people into your brand to know about what you guys do. And
yeah, we look at that as like the top of funnel, right? Like that's the first touch of the brand, and there's a lot more that goes into it. But the whitetail crib stuff is really, really, really neat. And I don't travel and do that stuff as much as we did, 3 years ago. We have guys that do it not But walking into somebody's home and seeing the passion and like the conviction they have in their stories, and how not boastful, but how proud they are of their accomplishments. Like it's almost life. I don't want to say it's life-changing, but it hits you really hard.
Well, it fires you up.
It does.
You go and sit down and talk to somebody, and I've done, like, a lot of the podcasts I've done, I go to people like Ben. Like, I went to your house and sat down, and we didn't know each other at all. Like, we had connected through social media. And, like, I go and sit down at his house, and it's like, you just, like, you've been doing podcasting now for a while. Like, there's something about it. Like, you put the headsets on, and you just, like, lock in on that conversation. There's no distractions. You're not on your phone. You're not – You're, like – in with that person, and they can just, you might be having a bad day or you're not feeling like you really are that passionate about what you're doing, and they can just, those conversations just fill you up.
Yep.
And they get you excited because you can feel the passion from other people. Like I went to, who Jesse Coots is?
Yeah, no, Jesse, I texted him yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
You need to go to his house.
We talked about, maybe he's like an hour and a half from here.
It's an hour and a half, yeah.
I know he's working on the campground project. I know he's super busy, but yeah.
Have you guys met?
I have not met him in person, just talked on the phone.
Talk about somebody with a passion for life. Like,
yeah.
And I same thing. Early on when I started the podcast, I reached out to him, and I was like blown away, like, because he just was like, yeah, dude, just come over to my house. Let's hang out and have a beer. And like okay. Yeah. So I go to his house one night after work, and we sit down in his back, and just like his house is just like giant bucks everywhere, and like most of them are just Euro mounts, because he's just like, yep, like I just go to Kansas, and then I go there, and I just like whack all these huge bucks. I'm like, what the freak? But like, so much energy in that guy. But then like, what's been fun? It seems like I've been doing this for 10 years, but it's been 3. But like meeting the people and then seeing as their like my life has progressed and changed. Like I now have 2 kids and they're getting older. Like they're 3 and 4 right now. And like everybody's going through stages of life.
That's right.
And like as you make these friendships and you start to meet people, like you're also living through that with them. It's like I see it with Jesse. Like he's got his 3 girls, and like he's put a lot of his stuff aside, and like it's all about family. It's all about his girls, and seeing them grow and develop. Like it's just fun. I don't even know how we got on this topic, but like, but that's it. Like it's like connecting with people.
Yeah.
And like we're all just living life.
Yep.
And like trying to bring everybody up around us, you know.
That's right. Yeah, Jesse's a throwback. He's, like I said, I've never met him in person, but we've talked a handful of times on the phone. And I got hooked up with I had no idea who Jesse was. And Andy May and I were having a conversation one time about like just the underground killers across, the United States that no one has any clue of who they are.
Yeah.
And his name
was it you guys that did a series on that?
We did.
Yeah, that was you guys did like the underground slayers.
Excuse me.
Because that was with Truth from the Stand though, right? Wasn't he?
I can't remember how we did that.
Because you guys work pretty close together, right? With Clint.
Clint and I hunt together quite a bit. I can't remember how we got on. Why we put that piece of content out. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we did do a piece.
Yeah, and Jesse he's one of those guys. Like,
yeah.
But he did a little run with a podcast. I don't know if you ever listened to any of his episodes.
No.
But his podcast was freaking amazing, and Jesse's like dirty, nasty humor, like says whatever's on his mind. And his podcast was really good. And but he was just like, I'm just like too busy. Like I don't have time for this. But I was like, that is like one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to. He probably did like 10 episodes and had guys just like him on. I'm trying to draw a blank. What's the guy that does the stuff with Mark Kenyon?
Dan Johnson?
Not Dan.
Andy does some stuff.
But
Tony Peterson.
Yeah. So he had Tony on, and Tony had Jesse on, and Jesse had Tony on. Like I love Tony Peterson. Like he is one of my favorite guys to listen to. Mm-hmm. He does a great job. So like those two on a podcast, but like him on Jesse's podcast was like just
he opened
raw,
up,
raw, like dudes talking, But like Tony's very like his podcasts are very organized. He like probably pre-writes a lot of the stuff, or whatever. But yeah, that's the fun part of this about just doing these, and it's cool that you guys made the journey up here to come to this. This isn't like a small lift for you guys to come up here, so appreciate you coming up to support Sean and them.
Yeah, Sean. I've known Sean for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, maybe longer than that.
Oh yeah.
Sean was a customer early on in the Exodus journey, and we had made some donations within, I think it was QDMA, before the merger, acquisition, whatever you want to call it, and he's tried to get us up here a handful of times, and we've just been busy, and you can always come up with an excuse for a reason why something's not perfect. And I was like, you know what? We just need to get up there. I'm like, yeah, we're in. We'll make the trek up and hang out for the day. So we came up last night.
Yeah, this event has, it's unfortunate it's raining today. There's still a pile of people here. Everybody's in Eaton right now. Mm-hmm. But it's fun to see. Like, this is the third year. First year we were here, you and I met, and we sat down and did a little podcast that day too. And it's just cool to see it growing. And, Sean and them are putting so much energy and effort into this. It's a lot to put this on, and I think I'm excited for the raffles and that, because I think there's like, I don't know. He said him and I did a presentation last Friday for New York Outdoor Writers Association, and just talking to them about the stuff because we do a lot of fundraising for him too, and do some collaboration events. So we were kind of talking to the outdoor writers about all that, but he was saying he's got like $20,000 worth of stuff that he's got for today. It's like, holy shit, I can't wait. I hope I can get a little bit of that. That'd be nice. But
did you go in the tent yet?
I went in there and walked around a little bit. Yeah, there's
a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. I'm glad you got that tent. That was huge to have that tent for today.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah. So what else is going on? Anything? What's your family situation? You got a couple kids, or?
I have 2 kids. My son just turned 7, and my daughter will be 9 in July. Just recently moved. We're kind of well, probably a lot like your demographic, very conservative,
Yeah.
lived in town for a while. I grew up on a farm, but we lived in town for a while, bought a house to our second home to flip, planned to live there 2 years to, bypass the taxes on flipping homes or whatnot. And we ended up there for 8 years. And finally got to a point where, like, we were homeschooling our kids because we didn't want them in the public school system with the political, we don't need to get down that rabbit hole, but you guys know
100%.
exactly all the
Absolutely.
bullshit that's going on in the country right now. So we were homeschooling because of the demographic that was in that area. So we relocated to a much more rural, small town community, had to remodel a house, but we just, but anyways, 7-year-old.
Recently did that, though? Recently moved, or?
Yeah. So I lived in the house while I remodeled it at night, essentially.
Jeez.
Yeah, for like 7 months. It was a giant project, way too big for one man. And I'm like,
And was your family there with you, too, or no?
no. So they moved in with my in-laws for 6 or 7 months. Well,
Which was close or not close? Or
close, 15
that's
minutes.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all in the same county.
But it gives you a little distance, too. That's kind of nice. Yeah.
It was nice, but man, like running the business, I'm 40. At like sometimes I bite off more than I can chew
Hell yeah.
and mentally I think I'm 25 still, and this is the first time in my life I'm like, I'm not 25 anymore. Like I can't do the things I did 15 years ago.
Yeah, going 16 hours a day every day is not an easy thing to do.
But anyways, 7-year-old kid, 7-year-old son, 9-year-old daughter. She'll be 9 in July. Just normal country kids, riding dirt bikes, playing in the woods, doing, they both have their little bows. We shoot in the backyard, just normal folks.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Normal folks.
Did you, the house you bought, you got a little bit of property, or?
Just 5 acres.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yep. Just enough for them to, run around, do their thing. We've been looking at some rec ground.
Yeah.
I've most of my life, I grew up hunting private ground, and then about 10, 12 years ago, I went on my first elk hunt in Colorado, just an OTC unit. I think it was 61 or 62. One unit's really good.
62 is a legit unit.
One is really bad.
Yeah,
I went to the bad one.
Yeah, 61 I think is. You're talking the unit numbers, right?
Yeah.
I've never hunted. The guys I hunt with have hunted 62, and they rave about it.
Yeah, it's like an 8-9 point unit maybe.
Yeah.
And there's a divide road runs through there and divides the two units. But anyways,
that's over like Grand Junction way, right?
Yeah,
it's on that side.
Yep. On Compadre National Forest. Yep. I really went out there to hunt with my grandfather. They had been going out there since the mid '90s. They were on muzzleloader tags. I went out to archery hunt. It was more about the experience with him, before he got too old where he couldn't do it anymore. And I came back from that trip unsuccessful, but I found myself in a whitetail woods craving like
adventure.
Yeah. I mean, they have a relatively big chunk of ground. It's not continuous, but they have about 500 acres on a family farm. But you're hunting small wood blocks, and you can hear the dogs barking up at the house, and you could see the barn light come on, and the tractor starting, 4-wheelers and cars. And I was just like, I ended up killing a giant buck that year. Was super pumped about, but I wanted something more. Like it wasn't about. I got back from that trip, and it wasn't about killing anymore. It was about like the experience of being somewhere that felt wild.
Yeah.
So that transitioned me into like a lot of big woods whitetail hunting, which I'm just super fanatic about. Being in unbroken timber, large tracts of ground. The deer density a lot of times is lower, but that's just where that's where I thrive.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's. I don't know about I know you like to hunt the big woods too, but your story is almost exactly the same as mine.
Really?
I went west for the first time in 2017, and it changed everything for me because I'm same thing. Grew up hunting our 100 acres, which was in the hills, up out of town here style. You got a lot of side hill. So I was hunted the timber, but it was the same thing. It's 100 acres, 4-wheelers driving all over the place. Everybody's hunting there with you on the weekend, and then you go west and you're like, wait, there's 1,000 acres of public land 5 minutes from our cabin. So now, I go to camp, and my uncle's like, the hell are you doing? You never hunt here anymore. I'm like, dude, I can leave. I can come down here, have the camp experience with everybody, and 7 people are going to go hunt 100 acres. Or I can go down the road 5 minutes, hike up a mountain a mile, and have a wilderness hunt where I might see a couple people, but they're on foot and it's a totally different experience. But it is. That's like spot on. Exactly your experience is the same thing with me.
That's cool.
I don't. Was it similar with you? Like, or have you always kind of been?
I've only hunted around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been out west.
Okay.
Not yet.
And you haven't traveled outside the area, right? No. I mean, it does when you. And it seems like Colorado is like it's the easy button because you can get a tag.
Yeah.
At least to this point, you can just get it over the counter, and it's just like. I mean, so what was that first experience like for you? Like, had you like dreamed about doing that, or did it seem like it was something that was attainable, or it was just kind of spur of the moment?
No, it was. Yeah, it was more about my brother had went out with my grandfather when he was like a freshman or sophomore in high school, and they went out, I think, second rifle season, but they come back and they have all these stories, and I just wanted that experience with him more than anything. Like, I wasn't ate up with elk like I am now.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about elk, essentially. I mean, I was just going out there to spend time with him before, he got too old. But now, like, I would almost, I don't want to say I would give up whitetail hunting to hunt elk, but
you love it that much.
I am ate up with elk hunting at this moment in time. Like, there's last couple seasons I've had a tag in Idaho, luckily, and like playing the point game and the strategic research you have to do to get in a good unit, because you can, elk hunting in a higher success unit is all, like, for me, because I'm a student of the game. I'm constantly trying to learn, but I'm not a great elk hunter. And the experience of being in a better unit to me is worth the wait or worth the extra prep and research to be in an area where you're going to be around animals.
Yeah.
Especially there, because you're not, here you might be whitetail hunting on 40,000 acres or 50,000, or you can go to the Allegheny and you have 200,000 acres or whatever. But out there, you're 400 or 500. You can go. A couple of years ago, we were in the Palisades in Idaho, and we drew that tag, and everyone was like, "Give it back, turn it back in." Like, you don't want that tag. Super low. It was like 4% success rate, and there weren't a bunch of elk in that unit. When we looked at the population studies, there weren't a lot of elk. But I thought, that's the average guy. 4% success rate on the average guy. Like, I'm all about, like, detesting mediocrity. Like, I'll work harder.
Yeah. Show me that 4% is. I'm in that 4%. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, we got our asses kicked. Like, never heard an elk, never saw an elk.
Really?
Nothing. And I'm talking like 100+ miles by foot in like 9 days. We had dirt bikes. We were out there in the summer doing summer scouting. Like, we were doing our work, and we got our asses kicked.
Oh, shit.
I forgot where I was going with that story. Sorry.
I don't know. But you're just bit by the bug.
Oh, yeah.
The passion of it.
And just having experience in September during the rut, listening to bulls bugle and like the chaos that happens, man, I don't know. It has me bad.
Yeah. Have you shot your first elk?
Last year, I shot my first elk. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Archery.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Like 10 yards.
And what state was that in?
That was in Idaho.
Idaho.
Yep.
10 yards.
Yep. Damn. Have another Idaho tag this year.
Cool. Same area or?
Same unit. Yep. Awesome.
So go back to, you feel like you got a spot that can produce time and time, or?
There's a hand. Man, I boogered up a bunch before I killed. I killed on the 9th day, and I had several opportunities and just boogered them up every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some spots that we have marked.
That's good. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be, hopefully I'll find out here in a few weeks whether I'll draw my tag in Colorado. See, I'm the opposite. I'm bit by I've elk hunted twice, and I'm like, it's amazing, but like, I can't get over mule deer. Like, I'm obsessed. Really? Yeah. Like, I don't know. There's something about just, especially going in early September when they're in velvet yet, the area that we've been all 3 years we've been there, we've hunted the same general area in Colorado, one side of the pass and the other, but same area generally. And the deer have been in velvet during muzzleloader season. And the first year we went out, we shot 3 bucks.
Oh, wow.
The same morning, there was a group of bucks that we watched them go across the side of the mountain in the evening from camp. It was raining like this, and we were sitting underneath our pitched up tarp. There was 5 of us. 5 of us? Yeah. And we're sitting there eating dinner, raining like this, got our spotting scopes, and the guys, we'd ran into some locals that were elk hunters, and they're like, watch, like, you guys don't have elk tags. We're like, no. They're like, okay, go to all the way to the end and sit there, first 10 minutes, last 10 minutes of the day, watch the side hill. You're going to see these bucks. Their buddies were out from Wisconsin the week prior during archery for deer, and the deer were just running circles on them. They were there every day, every morning, every night, and they just never got a whack at them.
Yeah.
And so that night, it was a Sunday night, Monday night, and we glassed them up, watched them come across just like they said they would, a group of like 5 or 6 of them. And so the next morning we went up there with a game plan, and we set up 1, 2, 3 on the side of the hill, and they came across on one of those wicked steep where there's a game trail that they just all are going to go that same game trail.
Yep.
Bam, bam, bam.
That's cool.
And I shot the first one with my muzzle loader. The second one was the buck that Bob shot with his rifle. He was down from me. I was highest up because I had iron sights with the muzzle loader. And then Brian ended up shooting the biggest buck in the group, and Brian was down towards the bottom of the hill, and it ended up being like he hit him on like the 3rd or 4th shot. It was a little bit of a melee because it was like 350, 400 yards up the hill. And but this buck was giant. I'll have to show you a picture of the 3 bucks together after we get off this. But his was 180, 182 is what it measured.
That's a stud, yeah.
Freaking giant, 4x4, just perfect, clean, nothing wrong with him. And that just I'm just obsessed now. And in 20, we went back out in 20. So we've gone every other year has kind of been our rhythm. So this year will be hopefully our 4th time. And I applied for the high country rifle tag. So I'm optimistic because I haven't gone with the rifle yet. And I obviously feel way more confident with that than with the iron sights muzzle loader. So fingers crossed. But I was going to the point of like having an area. I said this when we did our presentation here for Sean last month, like having an area you go back to multiple times. It doesn't matter whether it's deer hunting here or bear hunting or elk hunting, whatever. Like having somewhere you consistently hunt, like you go one place one time and hunt there for a couple days, you don't truly know it. Mm-mm. Like maybe there is no game there, but if there's sign, maybe you just weren't there at the right time.
Exactly.
But like if you can go continuously on these trips out of state where you can't be there all the time, you're not living there, it's not your back 40, I think it makes a huge difference to have that history with some place. Yeah. So, so are you're going early September or?
We usually go, there's 4 of us. There's 4 of us that have tags in that unit, which this is the first time that's ever happened. Usually, Idaho, it's not I'll call it a lottery, but they don't have necessarily a draw system. You get put into a waiting room, and it's like first come, first serve based on your number that you get in that waiting room.
Okay.
And there aren't a lot of non-resident tags in this specific unit. Somehow, we got 4 guys from Ohio got 4 tags.
That's awesome.
We're pretty stoked about having camp together because in the past handful of years, it's a guy has a tag in this unit, guy has a tag in this unit. So we go out for the better part of the month, essentially, is what we do. Nice. And then we buddy up and then hunt together, guy kills, and we'll go to go hunt on someone else's tag. And not we hunt, but
you're hunting together.
Yeah. So we're pretty amped about having tags all together in the same unit, sharing camp with everybody.
That's the best part. So do you guys tent camp, or you've been typically camping right from the truck, or what do you do?
So I've learned over the years, I think it is better to stay mobile as possible until you get into game and not commit to an area, because we've in the past, coming in eastern going west, like you want that backcountry experience, and we've packed in 10, 12, 15 miles, and you get back there and you do all that work, you set up camp.
Yeah.
And then you're hiking 10 miles to find animals. And a lot of times it's back where you came from. It's like we did all this work to get back here, and now we're hunting our way back to the truck. So we try to stay as mobile as possible. What we do is we pull a camper out with dirt bikes. We do a lot of single track stuff. We find animals, and then we'll go in and set up bivvy camp, carry camp on our back, and stay in the backcountry for a handful of days, 3, 4, 5 days sometimes.
That's cool.
Then we come out.
That's a different experience hunting with a bike too. Like that's kind of cool to use that to get into some of these places.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of people doing that, or is it?
There's not.
Really?
I mean, a lot of guys have bikes, ATVs or UTVs, and they're buzzing around the 2 tracks or a lot of the roads. But there's not a lot of single. There's more guys probably on horseback that we've ran into.
Is that
residents?
What type of land is that? Is it? It's not wilderness, because wilderness you wouldn't be able to do that.
Right. It's
national forest, or it's probably national forest.
Yeah, it's national forest, but as far as the terrain and habitat in that I mean, you can get into some steep, nasty stuff, but most of the elevations between 6,500 and 8,500 feet, more rolling, broken ground than anything. Yeah.
So it's huntable. It's not cliffed out.
It's very huntable.
11, 12,000 foot stuff.
No.
Yeah.
And that's just I've hunted some of that stuff, and it's hard, man.
Yep.
It's no joke.
Yep. When I hunted in 21, it was like a late decision that I was going to go. Like, it was not talked about at the Harvey household, and our group was going, and our daughter was born in the spring of 2020. So like, I'm like, we got two young kids. Like, I'm not pushing this hunt.
Right.
And all the guys are like fired up, and it's like all we're talking about every time we get together on the weekends with the families and stuff. And she's like, why aren't you going? I'm like, I can go? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't even ask. Like, but I didn't put in for a draw. I didn't do not like, I would have liked to have had my muzzleloader in my hand. And so I went. I just got an over-the-counter elk tag. And I mean, we saw elk every hunt, but they were just an impossible to get to spots. Like, we pursue them and try to get over there, and they're just in the most rugged, unbelievable places where you would not expect an elk to be. It was fun, but again, like, it goes back to like the deer. Like, in this particular area, deer just seems so much more attainable because of where they are and how you can get to them. But I don't know. And shooting an elk, like, you've killed one, you've probably had to pack one out. Like, that's no joke. Like, the thought goes through your mind when you're with a group of people. Like, if I shoot this elk, it now creates a challenge for all these other people. Like, we have to do this together for a couple days.
So
when you're back in
that hunt last year, we took off. It was a rainy, drizzly, crappy day, and the guy that I was with obviously didn't have a tag for that unit. He did not want to hunt that day. I was like, we were going 8 days pretty hard. I was like, just stay in the trailer. Just take the day off. I was like, this is what I'm doing. So I rode a dirt bike from the camper that morning, about 10 miles to a trailhead, hiked in 3 miles where we had been seeing these elk come out of these private alfalfa fields. And I got up in the saddle, and the elk were working their way back into the national forest through a different drainage. And I followed them. I hiked in 3 miles and then followed them basically 5 miles back to a bedding area. And it was crazy because there was a point where, like, I'm running, trying to
keep up
how much
with them.
ground they cover. I just thought to myself, I got to the base of this one hill, and it was probably only, I don't know, maybe a 500-foot elevation change from the bottom. It wasn't very big, but I thought, man, I don't know if I can do this, the rest of the day. And it was like 9:30 in the morning at that point in time. I haven't really gone for a couple hours, and I thought, let me just get to the top of this hill, and if I could see them or at least hear them, I'm gonna keep on them. I get to the top of the hill, they start bugling again, and I'm like, oh man,
can't stop now.
So I just kept going, and it turned into a hailstorm, a rainstorm. I ended up following them 5 miles from that saddle that I started in that morning. Killed the bull in his bedding area.
Nice.
And so it was an 8-mile pack out. 2 guys in a hailstorm, crazy shit, right? And the dude that John, actually our business partner, is the guy that I'm with. He's in his late 50s, and he's 150 pounds soaking wet. He's like, let's just cut this thing up. We'll hang what we can. Let's carry what we can out. I was like, John, we're doing this in one trip. And he's like, we can't carry this much weight in one trip. I'm like, listen, you have a tag that we haven't hunted on yet. If we have to come back in here tomorrow, we're burning another day.
Today, yeah.
I'm like, we're getting this thing out. It's like, we don't have to go fast. You carry what you can. I'll take the rest. And, like, we'll just stop every mile. Whatever we have to do, like, we'll get it done tonight. I don't care if we get back at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so we did. John took a hunt.
Did you have to train for that?
Oh, man.
Did you?
You can't train for hours on your feet with hundreds of pounds. That's the hardest part.
Yeah. I mean, my background, I don't know. I've trained as an athlete, as a collegiate athlete, professional athlete.
Are you a runner?
Based
or
my
what
whole
are you?
life. No, hell no. Dude, I can't run 2-3 miles, man. I'm a sprinter.
Yeah. Is that what you did athletically? You were
No, I played football.
You were a football player.
Yeah,
okay.
I played linebacker at YSU, and then I actually rodeoed through my 20s.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. You talk about the Finger Lakes, like Lake Luzerne.
Yeah.
Up there, we used to go up there during the summer for some of the pro rodeos in Lake Luzerne.
Lake Luzerne, where the hell? Luzerne. That's like up in.
It's in the Adirondacks.
Yeah, that's right. Like Hadley. Hadley was. I'm a school bus guy, so I think of school districts is how I connect the dots. So yeah, Hadley Luzerne is the school district.
Okay.
That's up like north of Glens Falls. I think.
Yes.
Up that way.
Yeah. Yep. They used to be already at Glens Falls. We just go to that.
No kidding.
A lot of there's more East Coast stuff than what people realize. But anyways, back to the elk story. So John takes a hind quarter. I got the rest in the head on my back. It was too heavy. My pack broke.
What kind of pack were you using?
I was running a QU, the carbon fiber frame pack.
Yeah. Straps were breaking, or the stitching was pulling out.
The straps broke. G buckle broke on the bottom. Straps broke. But we got so lucky. We made it 1.25 miles, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is too fucking heavy. I don't know if I can say that.
Oh, you can absolutely swear on this Pert in Your Outdoors podcast.
I usually don't drop F-bombs.
No, please.
It just slipped out.
Yeah.
Anyways, we ran across 3 cowpokes out there pushing cattle around, and they had access through the private where I gave them $200 and they hauled everything to the road.
Stop.
We only had to carry
what
a mile
a
and a quarter.
You shouldn't tell people that story. Yeah, we carried 250 pounds of meat one trip.
I was so that it still took us.
Yeah.
I don't think we got out of the woods until 10 o'clock, but gave them $200 and we got out to the road and everything was sitting right where they said they were going to drop it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, they had some money to go get themselves something to eat and drink, and they were happy.
Yeah, they were happy.
Yeah,
it's worth it all day.
Dude. And that's the thing. Like, the packing out, that experience it brings you together with the guys you're hunting with. Like, those relationships you cannot. And we do a lot of that style of hunting for deer too, and packing out the deer, and there's just nothing better. With the guys, you have success, you get down there, you start processing the deer right there, and you're packing it out, and there's just something different, about it. I don't know what it is. It just makes you feel closer to that.
It's hardship. It's adversity, going through any of that.
When you're hunting the farm and you shoot some huge buck, and you just throw it in the back of the side-by-side and drive it to it's like, I don't know, but I could have it's just different. There's nothing wrong with that. We do it all the time, but it's a different experience. But we our packing out. My only elk packing experience was in 2019, and we packed. The bull was shot over a pass. It was about a 9-mile hike back to the truck, but we had to. We were on the one side of the pass, so you had to gain probably 800 to 1,000 feet, if not a little bit more. And then you were downhill for 7.5, 8 miles. And it's just I trained, I ran, I'm a runner. I felt like I was in great shape, but to be on your feet for 5+ hours with 100+ pounds on your back, especially going downhill, you'd think going uphill would be easier or harder. That downhill on your quads is just holy hell, what a burner. And
climbing over stuff, there's things that you can't train, you can't train for. A lot of times, well, I guess a more experienced elk hunter would be better situating their pack, but there's times where things are off balance and you it's just you can't. I don't think that you can train for that.
No, you can't. I've thought that after doing it, the best way to get yourself ready for it is literally to just load your pack up with weight and just walk for 5 or 6 hours. It sounds crazy, but that's probably because it's your feet. That's what got to me. It was my feet were just destroyed.
Gotta take care of your feet.
Yeah, that was the killer. But again, those are then things just don't seem hard anymore. You come home and it's it's not difficult. I'm gonna It's nothing is hard after you do shit like that.
Yep.
Live off your back for a week and have those experiences. It's worth it. So what we're doing with this discussion is trying to sell people on going and doing some sort of an adventure hunt because it's going to change your entire perspective on all that.
Sounds like I need to lose weight before I go to out west, huh?
You'll lose it while you're there. It's a great way to jumpstart a diet. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Because if you're skinny going out there, yeah, I know. Well, it's all right. Something will eat you. It's a life cycle.
You won't go to waste. Yeah.
No.
Man. Just look for my belt buckle.
Yeah, exactly.
No, my buddy's been trying to get me to go out to Idaho.
You got? Oh yeah, because you got a friend that lives out there now, right?
Derek lives out there. He works for the fish and game department, so he does his scouting while he's in the field stocking fish.
That's cool.
Dude,
he knows what's going on.
And he's like, dude, it's elk and muleys for me now. He did the trifecta the one year, which nobody does in Idaho. He shot a whitetail buck, mule deer buck, and elk, all in the same year.
Wow.
And
that's impressive.
And he's a huge upland guy too. So he does bird dogs, all that stuff. But that's what he does. Him and his wife just live out there.
What's his last name?
Tuttle.
Derek Tuttle.
Like turtle, but Tuttle.
Tuttle. Yeah.
Tuttle. Buffalo native.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's you got to go. If somebody's giving you the offer to go, you need to go. Especially now before you have kids, you got to go. Mm-hmm. Do it. And that's one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't get started doing it until I went right before we had our first child, but I wish I would have been doing it when I was 22, 23.
And it's only going to get harder and harder to obtain those opportunities with point creep and the way the reallocation of tags are happening in the different states with different legislations. So if anybody's on the fence, to your point, go do it now because it's only going to get harder.
Yep. There's no better time than now. And it's really not. I mean, you can pump it up and make it sound like it's an unattainable thing. Like you can't do it. You got to be this ultra athlete to be able to go do. You don't have to. You can. That's like more people. Like we pack in as far as we do, but we probably would be better off hunting 1.5 miles from the parking spot because now everybody's going 7.5, 8 miles in, whatever. That's like the cool thing to do is to go deep. But now all the elk are like, well, we're just going to go by the road. And that's where I know the area that we hunt that people have been having success closer to the road because I think the elk have been pressured down. So just go do it. You won't be.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah. And there's a lot of spots where you can do what you're talking about, where you can go and, either just take a toy hauler or some sort of a trailer out there and have a side-by-side or a four-wheeler. There's a lot of that goes on. That's a totally different experience too. But
yeah, and he was saying that nobody cares about turkeys out there. He says there's turkeys everywhere. Nobody hunts them.
Mountain Merriam's.
No, and he gets, I forget what he says. I think they can shoot 5 birds or something stupid.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You could fill a freezer with 5 birds.
Yeah, but everybody upland hunts. Nobody cares about the turkeys.
Interesting.
So.
Huh.
Yeah, he's Clark Fork. I don't know where that is.
Clark Fork.
Yeah.
Idaho. You know where that is?
I don't.
To find out, we'll Google it.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. So we've it's been a great chat. Had no idea where we were going to go, and we went for a little adventure.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's nice getting to know you. I've known your brand for a long time. I've heard your name for a long time. I've heard you on other podcasts, so it's nice to actually get to meet you and shake your hand and learn a little bit about you. But we didn't really talk a ton about your business. So how can people find you? How can
just use the internet, Google Exodus Outdoor Gear, and there will be a million things that populate.
Yeah. I've heard I need to get on the Exodus camera train because I've heard nothing but good things. I've just never tried one. Partially because I've never been and set up next to you in a booth to say hey, I got to support this guy because he's too nice not to.
Yeah.
But no, I've heard nothing but good things about the product. And
thank you.
I think that's the deck gets shuffled like we talked earlier over there off the marketing of things. It's very easy to jump to the marketing side of stuff, but then the cream rises to the top. And the products that continue to last. So you don't hear much about your stuff because people aren't griping about it. There isn't a problem.
And no one's and we've never claimed to be perfect. I think you're always going to have, regardless of what you buy, it's on the camera side, you're dealing with electronics that are strapped to a tree in the elements.
In the weather.
You're going to have stuff that fails. You're going to have problems. And it's more about, for us, making sure that you take care of people that keep your lights on. In today's world, it's so easy to forget about who's buying your product and who's supporting your company. But without people supporting we don't have a business.
Correct.
And it's for some reason, I don't know why, but we've, over the last 30 years, companies have gotten away from that.
So far away from it, yeah.
No, I can speak to it hands-on, man. I mean, I got Lift 1s.
You still have some Lift 1s?
100%.
Those are
I have never
8 years old, I guess.
I have never retired a camera from you guys.
That's awesome.
I got 15, 16 of them.
That's legit.
So, and I got probably 5 or 6 from that original Lift 1. I mean, they're blue. They're about as blue as a bush.
I'm sure,
can now.
Yeah.
From just
Faded
being out?
Yep, just faded from the sunlight. But, no, I've sent a couple of them back, and these guys, they'll send them right back to you.
Well, look at that testimony. I didn't even know that Ben Williams was a user.
Been there since the beginning, man.
That's awesome.
That is cool. Yeah, that's another thing.
He's on my voicemail right now. I've been meaning to call him back.
Is that right? That's awesome.
He's like, I'm reaching out. We reach out to our customers once in a while. This is Chad.
Just save that
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that's something that we do.
Last weekend, yep.
We do that on Fridays, and we'll team up in pairs of 2. Everybody in the 8 guys we have working for us, and we just reach out to people to get their feedback. We want to check on the cameras, make sure they're operating right. get feedback. If there's enough need for something to change, or if somebody wants something specific, like, again, we don't have, without consumers buying our stuff, like, we don't have a company, so we have to meet their needs. And for me, running a business, it's very easy to get caught up in spreadsheets and numbers and like lose track of that stuff. And that's just the way that,
That's cool.
we do that every
Goes
Friday.
a long way.
Does.
Yeah.
5-year warranty too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5-year warranty.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of that
No,
that
there's
goes
not.
on out there.
No, and like I said, they take care of you no matter what. I've had some minor issues and stuff like that. Sent some back for minor corrosions just from, like I said, being out in the elements.
Yeah.
You guys fixed them, send them right back.
Yeah, we work on them. That
Yeah.
was the thing.
Well, I was asking your guys what they do. None of them wanted to jump on here, but I was like, "So what do you do? What do you do?" And so the guy that was sitting in the middle, he does
Jace.
a lot of the work on the
Jason's
camera.
worked on a couple of mine.
Yeah.
And that's so you guys are able to kind of find those components that failed and replace them.
Yeah, it depends on the extent of the failure. I mean, there
sometimes it's not worth the money to
That's
repair
exactly it. Yeah. So there's a threshold there. Like if it's something major, like if on the cell side of like a module or something goes bad, like it's $70 for a module. It's like we'll just send you another camera by the time we pay labor and whatever else to fix it. Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, they're still going out. There's some out there right now in the field.
It's awesome. And yours are
They're OGs.
They're
man.
Verizon or what are they?
No, they're
original.
before senders. That was.
What is it? Oh, so they're not. They're just a regular,
That's like some of
stationary
the
camera.
first gen stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015. That was the first camera that we built in 2015.
Wow. That's cool as hell.
Still running, man.
Yeah.
It's a good camera.
Yeah. I'm sold. I'm going to have to go next door here.
I've been talking about them for years.
Not to me.
You just haven't been listening.
It's bad. Don't listen to a word. He's saying this just because you're sitting here. He may not even have a lift. He doesn't even have
Oh,
them.
I got them. Like I said, they're blue as a bush can right now.
That's hilarious.
A couple of them I painted black.
Yeah. That's you got to get creative.
Yeah.
Just play some undercoat on them. They'll last forever.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. And
Thanks
it's
for having
great.
me on.
Yeah, great to get to know you. And hopefully we'll talk again,
Maybe
I think, what's his name? Aaron Helper.
Yeah.
He's
Aaron.
doing some stuff for you writing on your blog or whatever. He had reached out to me to he wanted to write a story. I provided him. He reached out to me after the season to talk about because we do a big group hunt in Pennsylvania every year. And so he had seen our success we've had the last couple of years and wanted to write a story on it. So him and I got to connect to do that. So hopefully talk some more with you guys. Yeah.
Aaron's a good kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually met him through Clint. I think he was writing and doing some stuff for Clint on Truth from the Stand, and he was like, "Hey, we need to, this kid's pretty good. We need to get him on a bigger platform or whatever the case was." So we've known Aaron for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's really cool to see everybody kind of connecting and making their way through all this stuff.
It's so small and tiny, man. It's so tiny.
Yep.
That's one myth or thing that we like the general public doesn't realize, like how tight knit and small this community actually is.
Got to stay together, stay strong.
That's right.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Nice chatting with you, Chad. Thank you. And we'll see who else we can drag into this.
Keep feeding them.
Muck and Meyer, keep feeding them.